Somewhere right now, there's a woman staring at her phone. Not because of who she's texting, but because of something you said. A comment you made in passing. A look you gave without thinking. A moment that felt ordinary to you, but to her it echoed. While you're sitting there thinking you were just another guy. She's remembering it all. The tone of your voice when you dropped your guard. The way you smiled when you didn't know she was watching. The way you simply existed. As if attention didn't matter to you. That's what gets to her. That quiet certainty. That subtle, untouchable confidence. Not the loudest man in the room. Not the one chasing her. But the one who doesn't even realize she's looking. And that's exactly what no one ever tells you. The kind of man who truly captivates women. He isn't flashy. He doesn't need to be noticed. He moves through the world like he belongs in it, but never forces anyone to look. He speaks when it counts. He laughs when it's genuine. And when he falls silent, you feel the weight of his presence more than his words. That man is you. You just haven't realized it yet. You haven't noticed the small shifts in the room when you enter. How she adjusts her body language to match yours. How she lingers near you, but never long enough to make it obvious. You miss these signs because you've been trained to look for the loud ones. Flirting, compliments, obvious signals. But real attraction, the kind that runs deep in a woman's psyche, it doesn't come with a spotlight. It hides. In glances, in nervous gestures, in those accidental run-ins that keep happening. Most men never learn to see it, so they walk right past it, and they go on thinking they're invisible, when in reality, they've been unforgettable this whole time. What comes next? 5 signs. 5 quiet truths. Not the kind shouted from across a room, but the kind whispered in body language. In presence. In silence. If even 2 of these signs sound familiar, then someone in your life right now, a woman you barely noticed, might be secretly hoping you'll finally see her. Sign number 1, her body betrays her. You've seen her before. The kind of woman who always seems composed. Her words are sharp. Her posture flawless. Her presence smooth. She knows what to say, when to say it, and rarely misses a beat. That's how she is around everyone else. But with you, something shifts. Her laugh changes. It comes quicker, lighter, almost like it slipped out before she meant it. Her fingers fidget with her hair, brushing it behind her ear, only to do it again seconds later. Her eyes won't stay still. They bounce between the coffee cup, the table, the menu, anywhere but your face for too long. And when they finally meet yours, they linger for a heartbeat too long, and her pupils dilate just a little more than they should. You may think it's nothing. Maybe she's anxious, maybe distracted, maybe she's just being polite. But what's really happening is that her body is telling the truth her mind is trying to bury. She's drawn to you, more than she's ready to admit. And that desire, it's tangled in fear, doubt, and vulnerability. So it slips out sideways through her gestures. Her words may stay professional, cool, even distant. But her physical cues, they don't lie. They can't. Carl Jung once said, "What we suppress doesn't disappear. It re-emerges in ways we can't explain." That's what you're seeing. Desire, denied on the surface, spilling out in fragmented, unguarded movements. This is shadow psychology. When a woman tries to hide what she feels, especially when she thinks you might not feel the same, that tension leaks out through contradiction. She might overcorrect, act disinterested while stealing glances. Interrupt herself mid-sentence and quickly walk it back. Make a joke, then instantly apologize as if afraid it came out wrong. She wants you to notice her, but not too much. Because if you realize how much space you take up in her thoughts, she loses the control she's worked so hard to maintain. And that's the paradox. Around others, she's calm, sharp, confident, but around you, she's unsure. Not because you intimidate her, but because of what she feels when you're near. What you're witnessing isn't awkwardness, it's emotional dissonance. A war between restraint and longing. The armor she built for the world starts cracking around you, and her body speaks a language she never meant for you to hear. This isn't performance. This is reaction, and it means something. So if she stumbles on her words, avoids your gaze, laughs a little too easily, pay attention. Because that isn't her being clumsy. That's her being human. And in those moments, you're seeing the version of her that not even she planned to show. Sign number 2, she remembers the things you forgot. You mentioned it once, maybe while scanning a menu, or during a lazy conversation that didn't feel important at the time. I'm more of a lemon tea guy. Coffee makes me jittery. And just like that, the moment passed. You forgot. You said it. But she didn't. Weeks later, she shows up with lemon tea in her hand. No explanation. No big gesture. And when you bring it up, she smiles. Like it's nothing. But it isn't nothing. It's a sign. Because when a woman is quietly drawn to you, she starts remembering the things you forget. Not like a checklist. Not like she's trying to impress you, but like someone decoding a language. Your language. She recalls the band you said you liked in passing. The childhood story you shared without much thought. The way your tone shifted when you mentioned your father. Not because she's trying to memorize facts, but because she's emotionally imprinting them. See, when you make someone feel something, connection, safety, admiration, their brain stores those details differently, deeper, stickier. Psychologists call it selective emotional encoding. It happens when something feels meaningful. To you, it was just a sentence. To her, it became a marker of who you are. She doesn't just listen to you. She studies your edges. What excites you? What softens you? What shuts you down? Not to analyze, but to prepare, because the women who care the most aren't always the loudest. They're the ones listening with intent, not just to connect, but to understand what kind of man you are, and what kind of woman they'd need to become to stand beside you. So when you say, "I haven't hiked in a while," she doesn't offer advice. 3 weeks later, she brings up a trail she found and casually asks if you've ever been there. When you say, "My mom hasn't been doing well," she brings it up the next time gently, carefully, not to pry, but to show that she was really listening. That's the difference. She doesn't remember everything. She remembers what matters to you. She remembers the emotion behind the moment, the sigh before the sentence, the hesitation before you changed the topic, not to use it against you, but because it moved her. This isn't memory. It's emotional resonance. You left an imprint, and you didn't even mean to. And that's why it worked. Because you weren't trying, you weren't performing. You were simply being present. And that version of you, the real, unguarded you, was powerful enough to stay with her. So the next time someone remembers something you barely recall, saying, "Don't brush it off," that moment meant something to her. She's hoping, quietly, that it might one day mean something to you too. Sign number 3. Her eyes reveal the truth, then flee from it. Sometimes you feel it before you notice it. That strange tension in the air, like someone is watching you, but you can't explain why. Then you look up, and for just a second, her eyes lock with yours, but only for a second. She looks away immediately. Maybe she smiles. Maybe she fiddles with her phone or tucks her hair, acting like it meant nothing. But it did. That wasn't an accident. That was exposure. She let herself look just long enough to feel something, then pulled back before it could show too much. Most men miss it. They chalk it up to politeness, shyness, or distraction. But what they don't realize is this: when a woman is secretly drawn to you, her eyes will give her away long before her words ever do. Because eye contact isn't just visual, it's primal. It bypasses logic. It speaks before thought can intervene. Psychologists call it approach avoidance behavior, the internal conflict between desire and self-protection, the urge to come closer and the fear of being seen too clearly. When she looks at you, she's not just admiring you, she's watching how your jaw tightens when you think, how your presence fills the space without effort, how you exist without asking for attention. But then she realizes you noticed her noticing, and that's when panic sets in. Because eye contact is exposure. It's a crack in the armor, a moment where she's emotionally unguarded, and that scares her. Why? Because if she holds that gaze too long, you might see it. Not just attraction, but the story she's built in her head about who you are. You might see the hope, the curiosity, the emotional risk she's already begun to take. She's not just seeing a man, she's seeing a possibility, one she hasn't spoken, but has already imagined. This is biology meeting vulnerability. In our evolutionary past, prolonged eye contact meant intimacy or danger. That's why it still makes our hearts race. Why even one extra second can feel like a confession. So, what does she do? She looks away. Fast, controlled, safe, or at least, it seems that way. You might think she isn't interested, but that's the paradox. Indifference looks you in the eye. Desire can't hold the stare. If she didn't care, she wouldn't need to look away. She wouldn't fidget. She wouldn't mask that half smile with a casual glance. The deeper she feels it, the more terrified she becomes that you might see it all. So next time you catch her watching, then looking away, don't dismiss it. That wasn't hesitation. That was emotion breaking through, and logic scrambling to hide it. She wants you to notice, but not too much. Just enough to wonder, just enough to keep her safe, while still feeling seen. And if you look back, not with ego, but with stillness, you just might be the first man who ever saw her without making her wish she'd looked away. Sign number 4, she repositions her life just to be near yours. You step into your usual spot, same coffee, same hour, same seat by the window. It's your sanctuary. But lately, you've noticed a presence, a woman, a few tables away. She's not trying to talk to you. She's not even facing you directly. Headphones in, book open. But somehow, her awareness of you feels deliberate, like you're part of her environment now. At first, it seems like coincidence. Then, it becomes a pattern, different clothes, different days, same time, same location. The more you notice, the less random it feels. She didn't used to be here, and now she is. Not just at the cafe, but at that new gym class you just signed up for. The weekend workshop you hesitated to join. The same meeting you were invited to at work. And suddenly she's involved too. It's subtle, casual, deniable, but it's not accidental. She's not following you. She's embedding herself into the rhythm of your world, not to intrude, not to demand, but to be near, to exist just within your line of sight, so that something real might bloom without ever having to admit she wants it. Psychologists have a name for this: strategic proximity. It's the quiet art of placing yourself within another's orbit consistently, discreetly, to build emotional familiarity. She doesn't need to speak. She lets patterns do the talking. She walks past your desk more often, shows up where you casually said you'd be, picks a path that just happens to cross yours again and again. Not because she's chasing, but because she's scared to. The women most drawn to you often fear you the most. Not in danger, but in rejection. So instead of confessing, they drift closer in ways that feel natural. To everyone else, it's random, but to her, every choice is intentional. It's not about manipulation. It's about safety. She wants to be near you, but only if she can protect her dignity in case you don't feel the same. So she masks affection in routine. She turns longing into coincidence, and she hides behind the comfort of plausible deniability. You might not even notice at first. You think she's friendly, or just happens to like the same places you do. But it's deeper than that. She's placing emotional breadcrumbs, not to pull you in, but to help you find her. Without pressure, without confrontation, and over time, something strange happens. She starts to feel familiar, recognizable, essential. You're not sure when it shifted, but now, her presence adds warmth to your world. Like something's missing when she's not around, even if she's never said a word. That's the silent strategy to become part of your space. Until that space feels incomplete without her, most men overlook it. They notice the woman, but not the pattern. They miss the message in the repetition, but if she keeps showing up not once, not twice, but often, there's a reason. She's telling you, without telling you, I want to be near you. I just don't know if I'm allowed to. Sign number 5, she asks questions that peel your mask off. It doesn't start with a deep talk. It begins with a simple moment. A walk, a car ride, a quiet night when the world has finally gone still. And then, out of nowhere, she asks you something unexpected. Not a shallow question, not small talk, but something that reaches deeper than you're used to. Did you ever feel understood as a child? Have you ever let someone see the real you? What's one thing you never say out loud, but wish someone would ask about? She doesn't ask it like she's interrogating you. Her voice is soft, calm, almost like she's talking to your soul without needing permission. And while you're still deciding how much to say, she's already moved on, as if nothing happened. But something did happen, because what she asked, and how she asked it, cracked open a layer most people never even try to touch. See, when a woman is truly drawn to you, not for attention, not for entertainment, but for you, she doesn't study what you show. She studies what you hide. She listens not just to your words, but to what you dodge. The shift in your tone, the hesitation in your eyes, the silence after a memory you didn't expect to revisit. She asks about your past, not to dig up drama, but to understand the battles that built you. She wonders about your previous relationships, not to judge, but to see what kind of love shaped your defenses and what kind of heartbreak still echoes in your choices. To you, it feels like casual conversation. To her, it's discovery. She's gathering fragments not to use against you, but to build the clearest picture of the man behind the mask. And if you think she's just a good listener, you've missed the point. Because this isn't about emotional intelligence. It's about emotional courage. She's reading you like a story. And in that story, she's not trying to edit you. She's just trying to understand the pages you've kept hidden. This is where Stoicism and Jungian psychology collide. Carl Jung spoke of archetypes: the king, the warrior, the lover, the magician. Each man carries one or many within, and when she asks these questions, she's trying to glimpse which one you truly are beneath the armor. Are you the calm protector, the wounded romantic, the silent thinker who hides pain behind wisdom? She's not asking to fix you. She's asking because she senses something powerful in you, something rare, and she wants to know if it's safe to lean into it. She remembers the small things you thought didn't matter, the book you loved as a kid, the way your jaw clenched when talking about failure, the moment you paused too long before answering. These aren't coincidences. They're signs of deep, intentional attention. And if she circles back later, mentions something you barely remember sharing, asks follow-ups you didn't expect, that's not random. That's emotional investment. She's tracing the outline of your soul, one quiet question at a time. Because she doesn't just want your presence, she wants to be part of your inner world. And maybe, just maybe, she hopes that once you realize she sees you, you'll finally let her in. You've probably asked yourself the same quiet question. If I was truly on her mind, why didn't she ever say something? Why didn't she reach out? Why didn't she just admit it? The answer isn't weakness. It's programming. From a young age, she was taught to wait. Wait for the man to notice. Wait for the man to make the move. Wait to be chosen, not to choose. Because if she expresses her feelings first, she risks everything. Not just rejection, but humiliation. Because what if she misread the moment? What if you didn't feel the same? She loses not just the man, she loses her dignity. So instead of saying, I want you, she learns to hint at it. She plays in shadows. Not because she wants to hide, but because being seen without certainty is terrifying. So she learns a secret language, a glance held too long, a casual question that digs deep, a presence that always seems nearby, yet never crosses the line. She's signaling, not speaking. She's waiting, not chasing. Because if you don't feel the same, she'll pretend none of it mattered. She'll shrug it off as coincidence, as small talk, as nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. She was testing the waters with the only tools she felt safe using: proximity, subtlety, silence. And the more she admired you, your calm, your presence, your confidence, the less she believed she had a real chance. That's the paradox. The men who are most respected are often the ones who feel the most invisible, not because they lack value, but because they radiate too much of it. When a man carries himself without needing approval, the world assumes someone else already has him, already loved him, already claimed him. So they stay silent. And you walk into rooms thinking no one notices you. You assume they're uninterested, that you're not their type. But what no one told you is this: you weren't invisible because you were lacking. You were invisible because you were intimidating, not in arrogance, but in self-possession. And people don't approach what they quietly revere. They admire it from afar. They hesitate. They hope. They don't tell you you're the one they dream about. They just remember what you said, replay it later, and wonder what could have happened if they had been braver. You didn't notice her eyes flinch when you entered the room. You didn't catch how she lingered a second longer in conversation. You missed the questions she asked that had nothing to do with the surface, but everything to do with your soul. Because she didn't want to play games. She didn't want attention. She wanted to feel close without risking being exposed. So she created distance, disguised as normalcy. She walked by without smiling. She stayed quiet in your presence. She sat 2 chairs away, pretending not to look. But every moment was calculated, not to deceive you, but to protect herself, because her heart had already picked you, and she just didn't know if it was safe to let you know. You might walk into a room and feel nothing. No glances, no smiles, no attention. And in that quiet, it's easy to assume you're forgettable. But the truth, you weren't ignored. You were admired silently. You were too powerful to be approached carelessly. See, when a man carries stillness, when he radiates quiet strength and doesn't beg for approval, people don't know how to act around him. They misread his calm as distance. They assume someone else has already claimed him. And so, the very presence that draws admiration becomes the barrier to connection. She didn't flirt. She didn't reach out. She didn't say what she felt, because saying it risked too much. Her dignity, her confidence, her hope. So instead, she watched. She remembered your voice. She replayed what you said. She held you in her thoughts, like a secret, never spoken, but always felt. And what happens to men like this? They begin to shrink. Not because they're weak, but because they've never been told they're seen. No words, no gestures, no validation, just silence. And in that silence, they start to believe a lie, that they are not wanted, not chosen, not desired. But the reality is far more tragic. They were put so high on a pedestal, no one dared to climb it. That's the hidden cost of being deeply admired. You feel alone in rooms full of people who secretly think you're everything. You wonder if you matter, while someone across the room memorizes your every move. And that leads to emotional isolation, not the kind caused by rejection, but by the absence of truth. Because desire that's never expressed becomes a prison for both the admirer and the admired. She suffers in silence. You suffer in doubt. And the connection that could have been never even begins. So what now? You don't weaponize it. You don't act like you've won something. This isn't a trophy to collect. It's someone's quiet courage wrapped in subtlety. Honor it. Look closer. That woman who always shows up but never stays long, she's not random. That question that caught you off guard, it wasn't small talk. It was a signal. The kind that says, I see you, even if I don't know how to say it. And what she needs is safety, not perfection, not power. Just a moment of presence from you that says, I see you too. So, pay attention to the eyes that linger, to the woman who laughs a little too hard at your joke, to the voice that trembles just enough when she asks you something real, because that's not nothing. That's someone standing at the edge of vulnerability, hoping you'll meet her there. And sometimes, the bravest thing a woman can do is silently hope you'll notice you were never invisible. You were unforgettable in silence. If this message touched something deep inside you, hit that like button to let us know. Subscribe to the Stoic Spirit and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another moment of truth. reflection, and masculine clarity. And until next time, stay grounded, stay silent, stay unforgettable. See you in the next video.